Okay. Yeah, I kept Alan waiting the other day. We went to lunch on Friday, and I called him and I said, meet me at lunch. And I didn't know my former partner in business and crime would be there, Gary Miller, at another table. And I showed up 15 minutes late, which if you know me, that's really not late yet. I mean, I'm still okay. I'm actually right on time. But Gary was sitting at the table over, and he looked at Alan when I got there, and he said, I knew who you were waiting on, and I looked at my watch, and I knew, ain't going to be a minute, just settle in and have a glass of tea. So I didn't mean to keep you waiting. Just my wife called, I had something to do. I want to talk to you today about time. You know, little kids are funny. They can't wait to be grown. Do you remember that? Are you too old to remember that now? Couldn't wait to be grown up. Remember, guys, we couldn't wait to shave? And you know what you want to tell your son is, man, don't hurry, because after you get that thing coming in, you got to do it every day. Well, some people don't, but see, support my case. Some people just gave up because shaving is not fun. Little kids can't wait to be grown. You know what? You know what my daughter told me? She was, I don't remember how old she was, maybe 10, 12 years old. And we were putting her to bed one night, and Heather was never a problem to put to bed. She was always ready for bed. But she started crying and moping, and Shannon and I are like, what's wrong with you, Heather? Why are you crying? And she said, I just hate to go to bed. And we said, you've never hated to go to bed. What's wrong? And she said, well, because I lay there at night just thinking about y'all in here eating all that good candy. And she was right. We're stashing Snickers bars all afternoon, and she's finding the wrappers the next day. We were terrible at hiding the evidence. Kids can't wait to be grown, because when you're grown, you can eat all the candy you want, right? Right, yeah, sure. You can do anything you want when you're grown, right? Right, sure. That's true. Sometimes I can't wait for my kids to be grown, you know. Sometimes I can't wait for them to leave home. I'm having to discipline myself right now because Hannah has 2 years of high school left after this year. And I'm thinking, this is number 5 out of 5 kids. Y'all count it. I've been doing this a long time. And I can't wait. And I want to keep reminding myself that it's not going to be all sweet when the 2 years is over. I don't want to miss these last 2 years with her at home because I got over anxious, because sometimes we just want them to grow up and start acting right, don't we? And then they grow up and we still just want them to start acting right. And we don't know. I have 2 children that I had for a few years before I married my wife, Shannon, and I keep reminding her that, you know, I have this experience, and I know how quickly they grow up. And I did all that stuff while they're coming. I couldn't wait, and then it's like you're in the struggle, and then you blink your eyes, and it's gone. And it doesn't come back. I wrote a piece. I wrote this piece like this. It goes, but how could I know that time would steal you away from me? And how could I know that each day was numbered? The things I do, man, if I only knew. So when my older kids were young, I didn't have any money for sofas, and I didn't have any money for microwave ovens, and we didn't have a color TV for a long time because I didn't make a lot of money, and the money I made I spent on electric guitars because you got to. And who would really rather have a microwave than an electric guitar, you know. I mean, I got to confess, I was driving home yesterday. We went with some friends to the TCU and Oklahoma football game. And it didn't cost that much money to see the ball game, and it didn't cost that much money to drive to Dallas. But I was telling Sean today, every time we went to eat somewhere in the Metroplex, it was $50 more, you know, and you got to eat. And all the way home, I'm counting the money I spent, and I'm going, I could have bought an electric guitar. True story. And I remember what I used to say is that, you know, when I get famous and when I make all that money that rock stars make, oh, and I'm going to do it, I'll make this up to those kids. It'll be okay then. You know what I mean? Because when I got out of school, I could have went to college, but 4 years was forever at 18. And I thought in 4 years, I won't be opening shows for the big boys. They'll be opening shows for me. And then I turned like 28, and I thought, I've been out of high school 10 years. I could have had a PhD and still no record deal. Wow. And then one day I was 38, and my older kids were in their 20s. And then I was 48, and they were in their 30s. And they have their own children now. And they have their own dreams and their own sofas and their own microwaves. And guess what? If I had a record deal today and someone gave me all the money in that big Powerball lottery that somebody won the other night, I can't make that up. It's gone. But I didn't know that. Because back then, there seemed like all the time in the world, a lifetime is forever. Have you started to count how many years away from normal life expectancy you may be right now? But how could I know that time would steal you away from me? And how could I know? Are you listening? Because each day is numbered. They're all numbered. The things I do. Man, if I'd only known then what I know now. Are you like that? So, what would you like to do with today? If you could do anything you wanted, what would you like to do with today? What would you like to hear your Father say to you today? What would you like to say to your children today? Or maybe a neighbor or a close friend. What would you like to see happen with the rest of your life starting today? What is really important to you now that you sit for a moment and just think about it? Because it's not hopeless. You know that, right? Today, I hate to say this out loud. It sounds horrible. Maybe I'll just sing again. But how could I know? But they're right. Today is really the first day of all the time you have left. And the past was there to teach you something. And if you're awake and you're paying attention and you're not too stuck in, oh, I'm no good and I just failed at this and surely God must be disappointed with me. If you can somehow drive past that point, you can realize that everything in the past is there to help you make better decisions today. Whatever it is you need to say, today is the day to say it. Whatever it is you wanted to hear from someone who may be gone, today is the day to seek that within yourself. What would you like to be true today? What would you like for other people to think about you? This is the day that God has given you and given me, and this is a day for us to rejoice because there's hope. As long as we have time, we have hope.
The reading today is from Isaiah 40, verses 1 through 5. Comfort, O comfort my people, says your God. Speak kindly to Jerusalem, and call out to her that her warfare has ended, that her iniquity has been removed, that she has received of the Lord's hand double for all her sins. A voice is calling. Clear the way for the Lord in the wilderness. Make smooth in the desert a highway for our God. Let every valley be lifted up, and every mountain and hill be made low. And let the rough ground become a plain, and the rugged terrain a broad valley. Then the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all flesh will see it together, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. Prepare the way for God. How are we going to do that? The prophet tells us how. Any debt that you have owed, every debt that I have owed, it's already been paid. It's been paid twice over. Who do you know that needs to hear that? Who do you know that needs that message of hope? Well, your struggle is over and your iniquity is removed. Here we go. Do you know someone who needs to hear that? Do you know someone who needs to hear that message? God's not angry. You need to tell someone that God is not angry with you. God is not angry with me. The hope is there. The hope, the Christ child who's waiting is so precious to us. As we decorate for Advent and as we move through this season and as we light these precious candles in our Advent wreath, hope is not lost. A year ago, I thought it was. In the middle of the night, when I couldn't sleep, hope came to me as I cried out, Lord, Lord, Lord. Hope is there, and there is time. There's time for all of us. Tell someone, and the way to see God and the way to seek God is to prepare the way. Prepare the way of the Lord. Isn't this the hope of everyone, of all people? Pray with me.